Hey all, Ron here from Military Images Magazine with a new episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail. You know, when we're talking or writing about the Civil War, we tend to focus on operations in the Eastern and Western theaters. The stories of Union regiments being deployed to the South and how they got there is largely overlooked or minimized. And yet, these events were incredibly important to the soldiers and the officers. This was their moment when they were leaving their hometowns, their home states, and going off to the South. Of the stories, one of them is a standout for me. It's the 44th New York Infantry up in Albany, where they're organized in the summer of 1861. Their colonel is pictured here. He's beloved by the men, the ever popular Stephen Williamson Stryker. Stryker's from New Jersey, lives in Chicago as a young man, where he meets a fellow named Elmer Ellsworth. You students of the Civil War know Ellsworth, his influence on the Zouave craze that swept the country. And when the war started, he organized the 11th New York Infantry, and he was killed in Alexandria, Virginia in May of 1861 by an innkeeper as he attempted to haul down a Confederate flag. The news of the popular Ellsworth's death spread shockwaves across the Union. And in New York, the Empire State, which was Ellsworth's home state, it caused the formation of the 44th, which was organized as the People's Ellsworth Regiment. And so here we are. I want to take you to October of 1861 when the regiment is drilling near or in their camp near Albany, and Stryker is about to give them some interesting news. The orders I'm going to read to you. I'm going to read to you his announcement of how he made the announcement. And then I'm going to share with you what he did afterwards, which I think speaks to good command habits and a way to effectively engage with your troops. So here we go. I'm going to take you to October of 1861 outside Albany, New York. Here we go. Yesterday afternoon, the Ellsworth Regiment had a parade on the poorhouse farm opposite the barracks. Again, this is outside Albany. And while maneuvering, Colonel Stryker, who had been in the city during the day, arrived on the ground. He immediately took command of the regiment, and after marching and wheeling in divisions for a short time, he halted the men in a ravine in the southeast corner of the field. He took position on an elevation to the right of the regiment, while the band was on the left. Every man seemed to anticipate what was coming. Perfect quiet prevailed as the colonel pulled from his belt an official document, which he proceeded to read, and which were the orders for the regiment to march on Monday next. Before the reading had been concluded, there arose such a shout from the 800 men on parade as made the very earth tremble. Cheer after cheer was given, caps were thrown heavenward, muskets followed, and even the men themselves jumped from the ground and leapt about as if each and all had received news of being heir to princely fortunes. Such dancing, such pirouetting, such prancing, such hugging. In fact, such an enthusiastic demonstration was never before witnessed in these parts. To say that the boys were wild with joy, but feebly describes their feelings and actions. It was perfect delirium, and each man seemed to endeavor to exceed his neighbor in giving vent to his feelings. As the cheering ceased, a loud cry was given, "Dixie!" And immediately the band struck up that familiar and pleasant air. The sweet strains of the music aroused the enthusiasm of the boys again, and with their loud huzzas, they fairly drowned the notes of Schreiber and his comrades. Even Charlie Kane's terrific thumps on his favorite bass drum could not be heard. As the band ceased playing, Colonel Stryker waved his hand, commanding order and silence, and in much less time than could have been expected, considering the excited state of feeling of the men, when the colonel addressed them as followed. Boys, I will now give you the program. Tomorrow, Thursday, 3 companies will be allowed their liberty until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, at which time all the men must be at the barracks. In the afternoon, there will be a battalion drill. On Friday, 3 other companies will have their liberty until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. In the afternoon, we will make a street parade. In the evening, we intend to give our band a complimentary concert at Tweedle Hall, and we wish you all to attend. You know, you have all the uniforms furnished you, but the band has not, and we desire to do something handsome for those who will add so much to our pleasure when away from here. Rousing cheers were here given for the band. On Saturday, the 4 remaining companies of the regiment will be given their liberty until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Saturday afternoon, we will be reviewed by the executive committee of the Ellsworth Association for the last time. Now, boys, you are to be about to be given your liberty, and I hope not a man of you will do anything that you will be ashamed of, or that you will be ashamed to tell me. I am satisfied you will not. You have read in the papers that I am proud of this regiment, but they can't tell you how half proud I am of you. I desire to state to you that Governor Morgan, that's Edward Morgan, has telegraphed to New York for 1,000 shirts, the best that can be procured for you. You have drawn all the clothing you're entitled to, but the governor declares that his pet regiment shall not leave the city unless every want is provided for. This elicited another outburst of cheering for the governor. The governor did not want to promise you about the new guns for fear he would disappoint you, but this afternoon he informs me that 1,000 mini rifle muskets are on their way from Springfield for you, and they are the best ever made. The date of our departure will be known to all your friends tonight, as I have telegraphed it all over the states, and they will have permission to pass within the lines and see you. On Sunday morning, you will be permitted to attend church in the city, and in the afternoon, there will be services in camp. At 5 o'clock, there will be a dress parade. On Monday morning, every man must be at his post. And at 1 o'clock, your friends will have to leave you. Just then, one of the boys shouted, "Bully for that," which created much merriment. At 2 o'clock, everything must be in readiness to leave that old place, pointing to the barracks, for good. The reminder that they were soon to enter the field was the signal for yet another rally of cheers from all hands. And now, boys, I propose 3 cheers for the glorious Stars and Stripes, the flag that can never meet dishonor or disgrace so long as a people's Ellsworth is left to defend it. The cheers were given, and 3 more, and 3 again, and still 3 more, winding up with a 3 times 3, and a tiger is a tiger. We think that if people had been listening in Greenbush, they might have heard these cheers, for we never heard such huzzas before, nor have we ever seen men more enthusiastic. It was a scene without a parallel, and showed that the Ellsworths, to a man, are anxiously looking forward to the time when they may, by deeds of valor and courage, show that they are worthy of the name they bear, worthy of being representatives of the Empire State. So there you have it. Colonel Stryker's connection to the men, his announcement of the orders to move to the south from their camp in Albany, New York in October of 1861, the reaction, and Stryker's great leadership abilities to make sure that the men had all their wants taken care of, had ample opportunity to say goodbye to friends and family before they left, giving them new shirts, new uniforms, all that kind of stuff was on the way for them. Now, they do, of course, go down south, and they're in the rest of the war. Many of the men who were cheering and throwing caps, yelling huzzas that day would not come back. One of the hardest fighting regiments, they are later listed as one of the 300 most fighting regiments in the Union Army. So there you have it, the story of the 44th New York Infantry and going off to war. We'll see you again on the